Welcome back to today's Personal Finance Show here on Dublin City FM with me, Paul Merriman from askpaul.ie. And my guest today is Paul Bradley from Renewables Ireland. Paul, you're very welcome to the studio. Thanks for taking the time to come in to me.
Great, thanks Paul. Thanks for inviting us along to talk about PV solar, and yeah, very appropriate so.
Very appropriate indeed. So Paul, look, I'm going to just set the scene here for listeners, I suppose. About 15, 16 months, I think, or maybe 17 months ago, we got your company in to do work on our house, to put the solar panels in, to make it a bit more efficient. To be honest with you, and this is not just a kind of throw bouquets that you're sitting across from me, I was very surprised by the level of expertise that you had. I was expecting someone to come in, put the solars in, plug it in, and that was it. But that's far from what this is, because there's a lot of moving pieces to it. So your expertise really impressed me, and I thought better get you onto the show to talk to our listeners to get the expertise across to them. And what really impressed me about what you did for us was not only the technology and the apps and the MyEddy and the various different apps that you use, but explaining how the grid works, explain how the battery works. You can bring listeners through in a second what you did for me.
Yeah.
But what myself and my wife Sarah found so impressive was that, you know, the simple things like what kind of tariff are you on? Hadn't got a clue. You know, it's cheaper to do electricity at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning with some of these tariffs. We'll bring listeners through that all in a second. So I suppose when people think of the solar panel thing, they might think I'm going to make my house a little bit more energy efficient. I might save a couple of quid, but it's really bigger than that, isn't it? Like it's really impactful on loads of different elements, not only to your back pocket, to the environment. So it's all that. So why don't we start with maybe letting listeners know what you did for me? And maybe start there as a case.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. Well, just to give you a bit of background on the company, you know, the company's been in existence since 2019. Jeepers. And it was formed on the back of a construction company called Hickon Construction. So we have a lot of experience in the company has a lot of experience in the building side. Then on the technical side, yeah, as you've alluded to, we are very technical driven. So we give all that advice to the likes of you and all our other customers. So I suppose if we walk through your installation, if you want.
Yeah. I think that's great. I don't mind sharing this, but we'll share the cost in a couple of minutes as well. But let's bring them through the installation and what happened, what we did and what we're getting. Yeah.
Well, basically what we do with customers is the first thing as we did with you, Paul, we asked you for 12 months worth of electricity bills. We analyse that to see what your consumption is. Then we look at that in conjunction with how much roof space you have. Some houses have a lot of roof space. Some don't because they've Velux windows, bay windows and things. But we'll always find an area where we can put panels on your roof.
That was the first thing that surprised me, because our roof has a lot of pitches in it.
Yeah.
So you couldn't actually, there was as much, although it's a large roof, I would have thought you couldn't put them in, which I didn't realise either, because I wouldn't. But so I can't remember, how many do we get on the house?
You got 12 at the end. 12 at the end of the day. Which is a decent sized system. And I was only looking at your system because we monitor all our systems. I was looking at it on live earlier on, and you were generating 4.5 units of electricity, which was satisfying your house. It was charging your battery, and you were also exporting to the grid.
Great.
So that's good. Now, as I said, you have a nice big house, if you don't mind me saying. Your roof probably isn't as big as we would have liked to have it, or there isn't as much roof space as we'd like to have it. Yeah. But it's all relative. Like if we look at your savings, over the last 17 months, you've saved 35%. Or you've been 35% self-sufficient,
So rather than using 35% from the grid, the solar panels are generating that. For me, it's coming into the house from using 35% less.
You're using 35% less.
So technically speaking, spending less than 35% less on my bills as well.
Absolutely. And also you're exporting to the grid, so you're getting the benefit of that, Depending on the utility provider you get anywhere from 18.5 cent to 26 cent. For every unit you export as well.
Okay.
So you can take that on top as additional savings. And then if you have excess solar generation that you're not using, you can export it to the grid, but you can also use it to heat your hot water with the MyEddy, as you have, which gives you additional savings on your gas consumption throughout the year. So I think
just saving. So let's bring listeners, Paul, through the cost. I don't mind again disclosing this. The bill was, I think, in total about 14 grand, if memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Fitted,
yeah, it was just over 14 grand. Then at the time, the SEAI grant was €2,400.
So we got that back, which in fairness your office did for us as well. We gave all the paperwork in, they got the money and got it back to me. Yeah, fairness.
Yeah, we look after all that. You sign up for the initial grant, but we take care of all the paperwork. There are some companies out there that just leave you do the grant. No, we let you do the paperwork. We got a BER cert done for you as well. So again, that's something else that we take on board. Okay,
brilliant. So it was 14,000 minus the two, and I'd take the €2,400. So in around what short change was 11,500 or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we're saving a third, what's the kind of rough analysis here so far? Because we're 17 months in. What do you reckon we've saved?
Yeah, I'll tell you that in a minute. But just to also say, you're 17 months in, but since then, the VAT has been taken off as well. Installs. So that's another 13.5% that you'd now be saving. Unfortunately, you didn't avail of that at the time. But I think we did yours in March 20 or in February 23. And the VAT reduction came in May of 23.
Again, that's not something I was aware of. You don't pay VAT then, or
you don't pay VAT on the installs.
Excellent.
So then, if we work it all back, I say, I looked at your saving about. If we take everything into account, you've saved in the 17 months. You've saved nearly 2,200.
Okay.
And then if we take, say, a reduction of €500 on top of that for your reduction in gas as well.
Okay.
But if we work, what I did is I rolled that back into working it out over yearly saving, and then I took, say, your electric car into account if you were charging that using the cheap rate tariff. They call it a boost tariff or an EV tariff, depending on the utility provider you're with, between 2 and 4 and 2 and 6. You could charge it. You could charge it that. You could also have excess generation charging your car as well. And then in the winter months, you could be grid charging your house battery at a cheaper rate. It's quarter price electricity at that time to feed back into your house than during the time where you'd be paying full price electricity. So I think I worked everything out, and I think over a year you'd probably end up saving about 3.5 grand.
Okay, so being the financial advisor, let's take that 3.5 grand and make this work for us.
Absolutely.
Okay? So listeners, just bear with me on this, okay? So I'm saving approximately 3,500 per annum now since I've installed this. It cost me 11,500 thereabouts to put the install in. So within a number of years, 3-4 years, I've kind of broken
You've paid it back.
Even if I got broken even. Now, for me to earn €3,500 in my back pocket, I'd have to earn around 5.5-6 grand, a little bit more on the higher rate of income tax. But just take an average kind of a third of my tax break. I'm going to be, let's say, about 5.5 grand. Okay, so I'd have to earn 5,500 in work, pay my revenue commissioner, and I can make about 3.5.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if I went to took this a bit step further, I'm 42 years of age. I've invested €11,000 into the solar panels. I'm saving the 3,500. If I was to make an additional contribution to my pension of 5,500 per year, I'd only be missing that 3.5 grand from my wages.
Yeah, because you get the tax break. Yeah,
doesn't get a tax break.
Yeah,
so I can basically recycle the savings from the solar panel and the cost I've been saved into the pension plan. I'm 42 years of age, so let's say I'm going to get to 65, which is 23 years away, and I get a 6% average return after taxes or after charges. I'm going to have an additional €248,000 in my pension.
Yeah.
So, this is called the Ask Paul show, but today it's definitely going to be called the Ask Paul's show. And I'm serious about this because from a financial planning point of view, it's all about making the quick wins and making your money work hard. We say this time and time again, especially we do a lot of corporate talks for employees in companies, and we always saying you work hard to get your money, you pay your income tax to society, it comes into your bank account, you owe it to yourself, you get your salary based on the back of your income, your kind of experience, your education. I'm 42, I've been working for the last 25 years, and that's what has me today.
Yeah.
So all that experience, all those jobs, etc., building a business, you owe it to yourself to make sure that money works hard. There's a very simple example where we are going to win massively if I recycle that money back into my pension plan, which I will do. So it's not a great example of making things work hard. So although the 11,500 is a massive outlay, even without doing anything as I'm going to say I'm cool as the pension. But without doing that, you're going to be paying back within kind of 3 to 4 years, and then you're going to have that saving for life.
Yep, absolutely.
So talk me through then, if I'm doing that over 20 years, is there can the solar panels break down? These are all questions I never asked you because I trust you so much, but like, is there a warranty on them? I'm actually genuine, not even being smart. I don't know. But do they need to be replaced in 7 years? Is there more cost coming my way, or 10 years, or what usually happens?
Well, your solar panels, the solar panels we install now, it's all newer technology. So there's a lot of old technology out there, so you have to be careful with what you're buying. But we only install tier 1 latest technology panels, which are clear now. They're black, full black, glass on glass, and they have a product warranty of 25 years. So basically, if they break within the 25 years, they get replaced.
Well,
and then they have a performance warranty of 30 years. So basically what they're saying is after 30 years, there's a degradation of 0.04% per year. So after 30 years, they're still going to be generating 88% of what they would have been generating or producing from day one.
That actually is quite phenomenal, in fact, is it?
Yeah. Now, inverters, when you get down the chain, the inverter, which what the panels connect into, has a 10-year warranty. But again, like, it's going to last longer than 10 years. Right. And the battery also has a 10-year warranty. But again, they can last
can we
longer
bring
than that.
Let's get a little bit technical. Hope we're not going to lose people here now. But let's talk about the battery, because this was... I'm not that technical. Right. And this was a little bit of a brain numbing for me, to be honest with you, in that I just couldn't understand it. So we went for the battery option, which you don't have to go for. Is that correct? You don't have to, and people look at it just from a purely monetary side of it. Right. The battery is a good chunk of change to invest, and people will look at the capex, and then they'll say, "Oh, maybe I'm not going to go for the battery now." We've gone back to numerous customers after, and they come back and they said to us, "Geez, I wish I'd put the battery in," because you put the panels up. If you're not there during the day, the house isn't going to be taking an awful lot. So you're going to be exporting a lot to the grid. Now, don't get me wrong, you get paid to export to the grid, but you only get paid a fraction of what it costs
to bring it back in. So if you have a battery there while you're in work, or you're in work, the sun's generating away, it's putting excess solar into your battery, so that when you come home in the afternoon or the evening time, when the light has gone down
and there's no solar, the battery kicks in. It's them
feeding back into your house.
I'm just imagining people driving along here. We've got producer Paul in the background here as well. Actually, it's the three Pauls in the studio.
Three Pauls.
And I'm actually imagining people driving along going, "This lad hasn't got a clue. Thank God he's good at finance, because he hasn't got a clue about anything technical. I'm so bad." But in fairness, it has worked, and you can see the savings. You can feel them coming in on a monthly basis or every 2 months. What are the biggest mistakes you've seen people make when it comes to this, though, in relation to solar? You mentioned the tech there, so old solar panels.
Yeah.
And I know before you came in, myself and Paul were having a chat about this topic, and we were saying, the tech gets so better. It gets much better every couple of years, every 3 years or something. So is there a thing where people should hold off? I wouldn't have thought so, because you're going to have the savings anyway. Or can we upgrade those panels if I wanted to make them more efficient or quicker or smarter in a few years' time?
Yeah, it's like people say, will I hold off and wait for the latest technology? The problem with that is, if you do hold off, it could be 5-6 years down the road before that technology. It's a bit like a Formula One car, they get all the bells and whistles, but when all that technology peters down into the cars that we drive and makes it in an affordable way, it takes a good period of time. So in 4 to 5 years, you could have put your system up there, as the example you used, and it's paid for.
Yeah.
And the other side of it is how that newer technology is going to be. Is it going to be that much better?
It's still just generating power.
It's still just generating power. It may be 10-15% more efficient, but if you take if you take solar panel technology going back 5 years, I suppose you would have been putting in panels that were 200 watts. We're now putting in panels that are 440 watts each.
Well, okay, that's the difference.
But I don't see that leap happening in the next 5 years.
Yeah, we're getting to 800 or 600.
It's going to be a newer technology.
Yeah.
And that technology hasn't been developed yet. Like, you can get bigger wattage panels, but they're physically bigger. So,
right, okay, yeah.
So there's only a footprint. The panels are about 2 meters square. So there's only a footprint that you can squeeze all the silicon chip technology into that footprint,
Okay, so you're technically saying when I'm doing my forecast, saying over 20, 25 years for retirement age, I'm safe enough that I'm not going to really have to put any more money in, you think?
No. I'd be saying to, I'm not just doing the sales pitch, I'd be saying to jump on the bandwagon now and install the systems now rather than wait 5 or 6 years for potentially a new
years, you're going to get more technology change. Anyway,
exactly.
You could be saying the same every 4 years. You're never going to do anything. You're going to be sitting on the fence and not doing anything at all.
Yeah, and hopefully in 4 or 5 years, then there may be a small wind turbine that we're looking at that you could put on your roof as well to complement your solar.
Oh, well, that sounds cool, doesn't it?
So that's
I'm sold on that already.
Yeah. If I could find one for you, I'd sell it to you now. But anyway, so there's that. Yeah. But I suppose getting back to the battery side of it, people just look at really the financial side of the battery. But the battery is so much more than just the cost. Like as we've said, if you're not there during the day, the excess is feeding in. It's there in the evening time when you come home. But then in the darker months, the winter months, where you haven't got as much excess solar generation going into your battery, well then what you do is you grid charge your battery at night time using those cheap rate tariffs that we've talked about between 2 and 5, 2 and 6, which could be quarter price electricity.
Can we just talk about those? Because I think a lot of listeners get their bills, they look at the bill, they see the GPRN, the MPRN, they look at the cost, and that's probably it. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
But your advice to me was ring up and find out what tariff I'm on, look at what tariff I'm on, and then ring them and find out when the cheapest rate is. So you're saying it's usually 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah,
it's
you
usually,
bring listeners through that for me, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So I would always advocate this as part of our handover or demonstration of the system to clients. We would always go through that. So we all know that you can all go into bonkers.ie and type in your tariffs and all that and see which is the best one. But you really need to do your research. Do you have solar panels? Do you have a battery? Do you have an electric car? Do you have a hot water diverter? All those things. And then you look at the smart tariff, which is best suited for you. So a lot of people are very anti-smart tariffs. But if you have any or a number of those combinations, a smart tariff is the only way to be. So the smart tariff works. You basically have a day rate, which could be between 8 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock at night. Normally within that, you'll have a peak rate between 5 and 7 p.m.
That's when people are back from work cooking. So
the way I work it out is the day rate is say 100%.
Yeah.
The peak rate could be 125%.
Oh, okay.
Then you have a night rate, which is 11 o'clock at night till 8 a.m. in the morning, and I'd normally say that's 50% of a rate.
Okay.
And then within that, you could have a 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. or 2 to 6, depending on the utility provider you're with. And that could be quarter price electricity.
And there's a lot of stuff now that's kind of, from a tech point of view, the washing machines have apps where you can put them on at certain times. Dishwasher have apps where you can set them, or have the tech where you can set your dishwasher to come on. So I remember you saying this to me as well. Set all those things that come on in the middle of the night, or whatever, that 2 o'clock at time, wherever that rate is cheaper. Yeah. Or you can do it with the car charging, set your car charger, charge your car at a certain time as well. If you have like a hybrid, so you can use it for that.
Yeah. Well, you can, like
they're all savings.
They're all savings. We've customers with internet-enabled appliances, as you referred to, that they
see that internet. What is it?
Internet-enabled devices, appliances.
Something with an app. That's what I call it.
Something with an app.
You
exactly.
made it sound so better.
Yeah, and you can set that. You can set them up absolutely to take advantage of that, and also your we install Zappy car chargers. You have one of them in your house, and you can set that up. It's a very clever piece of kit, actually. You can set it up so if you plug the car during the day and there's any excess solar, it will feed into that. So it's for nothing. And then you set a schedule at night time between the 2 and 5 and 2 and 6 where it can top up the balance that it didn't get from the excess solar.
I gotta be honest, I find it hard to charge my laptop and my phone. I do have a challenge with charging my car full stop. It's a hybrid, so I kind of get away with not needing to charge it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say maybe twice a week max. But I will say you didn't install that, and the people that did install it didn't do the best job. It wasn't sealed properly, so it didn't work, but you fixed it for me. Thanks, man. But I look, again, the reason we have a studio is that kind of service. And the professionals that comes and all the advice that comes with it. I know my industry is the same. We built the Paul brand back at trying to do a little bit extra, giving the better service. you can probably get a pension anywhere, but trying to get the actual real advice on people finding out what you're using and what you want to do in retirement age. It's those things that make a difference. And I think you do a phenomenal job in that. So Paul, quickly before we finish up, I think it's important for people to understand as well that, you know, I always thought about people having short-term debt and borrowing. I think if you don't have the cash flow today, I know I mentioned it was 11,000, 11,500. We're looking up if we had the cash flow, we need to borrow for it. I know not everyone listening this morning is in a situation where they can drop 11,000 or 12,000 to put solar panels in their house, but there are a couple of really good financial planning reasons to do it. Okay, so number one, banks will give you a cheaper mortgage. Most banks have cheaper discounted rates, what's called green mortgage. So if you have a B3 or better with most banks or all banks, except for Bank of Ireland will give you a discount on all the BR ratings, which is A down to, what's the lowest you can get?
Oh, A down to F, I think.
A down to F, yeah. So everyone's B3 above, but Bank of Ireland will give you a discount. A smaller discount, the worse your BER is. So number one, if you're coming off a fixed rate soon, and you know, it might be a very, very good idea to look at doing something like this to increase the BER rating and be able to get the loan. But also, there has been the Strategic Banking Corporation of Ireland has teamed up. 2 banks have signed up to this already. It's $500 million that's been put aside basically to guarantee loans for people that are looking to retrofit or do their properties up, I suppose. And Permanent TSB and AIB have signed up to this already. There's a few conditions, so it's called the SBCI Home Energy Upgrade Loan Scheme. So just Google SBCI, guys, or else go directly onto the AIB or the Permanent TSB site. And they're saying you can borrow up to €25,000. It'd be €458 euro per month, and that's worked out over 5 years. You couple that with the savings and the long-term savings you get.
Yeah.
It's a really good idea. And one of the biggest questions I get and ask Paul, the loans are the 75,000 by the way, so you can do other things with these loans as well. But in the retrofitting scheme, the interest rate's so cheap, it's in around 3.5 to 3.8%. Where if you go to the credit union for a loan, it's going to be 7 or 8%. If you put it on your credit card, 15 to 20%. So the fact that the government are putting this in, you mentioned already, there's no VAT to be paid as well,
absolutely.
which is a 30.5% saving. Now we're getting cheaper finance and cheaper loans. So you can see that there's a big push on this.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for people to know that.
It is, and the other thing to look at as well, we also offer loan facilities, but we've done that for a number of clients who have come off a fixed rate and are going back in the green energy loan, and they're saying, oh, geez, the repayments are this, and I say, yeah, the repayments are that, but you're going to take your savings from your utility bill off your repayments.
And it's been forever. Yeah,
so if your repayments are 400 a month and you're saving 200 a month, it's only costing you 200 a month for the loan.
Yeah, and that extra is only there for the first 5 years that you repay the loan back, and then you have the savings forever.
Absolutely.
So I suppose in this situation, it's probably very rare you hear me talk about just getting a personal loan or actually financing something. It's always save, invest it, get it in the future. But I do think in this case, getting one of those loans with a discounted rate is a really, really, really good idea if you are going to look towards putting the energy efficiencies in place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, Paul, where can people find you? Where can they reach out? And where's the best place to get in contact with you?
Well, we're a company that we're based in Stillorgan, so we work all over Dublin, Leinster. Actually, we work all over Ireland, but that's our target market at the moment. There's contact form on the website is probably the best. So our website is www.rirl.ie, which stands for renewablesireland.ie.
Very good.
And that's the best place to get us. You can call us. Our phone number is 01 298 6140, and that's always manned, so someone will answer that.
Very good.
So what I'm saying is I get customers who just ring up and want to talk to me, They might not buy at the end of the day, but they do talk and they look for advice. So what we do is we talk customers through, as we did with you, from the initial consultation all the way through to handover.
And just to say as well, you guys doing a lot of commercial projects as well. I did see on LinkedIn that you guys doing commercial projects. So it's not just houses you're doing, it's actually commercial buildings as well, which I presume have way better space compared to the houses, obviously, because of the size of the roofs.
Absolutely. We do a lot of commercial. The residential, I suppose, is your bread and butter, but the commercial is the gravy.
Very good.
And we're doing a lot of commercial work. Yeah, we've worked for some big blue chip companies in the health and insurance side of things. We did a job for a kitchen manufacturing company, and their return on their investment was 1.79 years.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible, isn't
it?
Yeah.
And they're lucky. Well, when I say lucky, generally commercial premises have big roof spaces.
Yeah.
So we can get lots of panels up there.
Yeah.
But they're delighted.
And I think from a company point of view, it's good to be going the renewable way. But I will say one of the reasons we reached out to you was, number one, you're highly recommended. But number two, what we wanted was, I'm not going to be smart when I say this, but it wasn't really the money for a change for me. It was more being a little bit more eco and environmentally, and you forget that that's the biggest plus here as well, because we are using less electricity and we're taking less off the grid, and it is obviously way more environmentally friendly. I think a lot of people are probably on the same vein. They're trying to make little changes, see how they can actually help. And I think, because I know a lot of companies will have that kind of ESG in the back of their mind, how they make it a little bit more sustainable for the future, and they're moving towards it. Well, if the households do it well, it'd be brilliant.
Well, I say to companies, we improve your E and your ESG. That's the blurb I use, you know.
I like that one.
But you're quite right. It's incumbent on us all to help reduce our reliability on the grid and fossil fuels, because we all have to, Ireland, the island of Ireland has to meet its COP26.
It's not going to, though.
No, it's not going to. But everyone's no. But everyone, it doesn't
mean you don't stop going for it.
But everyone's banging on the government and saying they have to do it. They have to do it. But actually, that all filters down to us. We have to help, whether it be putting PV solar in a car, whether it be driving electric cars or whatever. We have to help towards to do that. So it's incumbent on us all to improve our carbon footprint and be more sustainable, you know.
Very good. Paul, thank you very much for coming into the studio today, taking the time to bring listeners through again. What's the website again for the contact form for everybody? One more time, please.
It's www.rirl.ie. And thanks for having us, Paul. It's really appreciate you bringing us into the studio.
I really enjoyed the chat. I'm sure the listeners did too. So thank you.
Not at all. Thanks again.